Hey everybody, this is Cliff Ravenscraft, and I'm coming to you with another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. The following is the speech that I gave to open up the Podcast Nashville. It is my talk on podcasting as a career. As I get ready to play that, I just want to go ahead and let you know that this episode is sponsored by AG Design. You can get all your podcast graphics, website design, anything you want over at ageedesign.com/podcast. Make sure you go to /podcast. If you mention the Podcast Answer Man, you will get 20% off of anything that you purchase there. Thank you very much, and here's the talk that I gave. Alrighty, hello everybody. Alright, today I'm going to talk about podcasting as a career in 20 minutes or less. And those of you who know anything about me know I can't even do an utters message in 20 minutes or less. So it's a bit of a stretch. We'll give it a try. So let's do an introduction in 3 minutes or less. First off, I want to say thank you to C.C. Chapman for doing his Managing the Gray episode number 50. It gave me some great inspiration for today's outline. He did thank you. He recently did an episode, How to Break into New Media as a Career. And basically that's what I have done. And so what I'm going to do is share my story first, and then I'm going to kind of break down what Cece said and see if maybe it did apply to what I've done, and give you a little background on that. So first off, my name is Cliff Ravenscraft. I'm married going on 12 years to my lovely wife, Stephanie. I have 3 children, 8, 6, and 2. I recently left my career in insurance after 11 years to pursue my passion for a living, doing podcasting full-time and as a new media professional. Thank you. I'm going to go through this really quick, and this actually wasn't supposed to be up there. This is just my notes, so I apologize. If you want 20 minutes or less, I'm going to just read this to you. All right, so anyway, a couple of facts about me that helped lead me to where I am today. First of all, I have experience as an insurance agent. One of the things I love is I love to sell. I mean, I love to sell anything, everything, as long as I can be passionate about it and believe in it myself. I believe I could sell it to anyone, no matter what. I used to be an associate pastor of a small Nazarene church, and one of the things I loved about that was public speaking. Coming here this morning, talking to you, I love doing this. This is great stuff here. And one of the things is I love to hear myself talk. I mean, maybe that's bad to admit, but that's why in the studio I love having my headphones, and I'm not getting enough monitor hearing myself, but at least I hear myself out there, so I know that I'm hearing myself, and I like to talk. So that's another thing that kind of leads into this whole podcasting passion of mine. I had left the associate pastor position in a small church to move on to a calling later on in ministry to be a pastor of small groups in a mega church. Literally leading about 300, 400 people who were leading small groups in their homes of Bible studies. And one of the things I found there that I had a tremendous passion for teaching people, just helping them learn how to do things, learn processes to make them more successful in life. And so I have this passion to teach people. And of course, then I just love people. You can't be in ministry if you don't love people. And I will tell you that we had this ongoing joke that ministry would be easy if it just weren't for people. But I do love people. And so that kind of brings into this whole podcasting thing. And then, of course, I love technology. I'm a gadget freak. I took my first computer apart when I was 13 years old. My first computer was a Commodore VIC-20. Never read a book and learned how to program BASIC on my own. I have no idea how that happened. But anyway, so I want to talk next. How am I doing on time? Oh, good. All right. So how I got into podcasting as a hobby in 5 minutes or less. How's that? First of all, Leo Laporte, Father Roderick, and a couple from Hawaii named Ryan and Jen Azawa. These are 3 people who I credit as an inspiration to me as a podcaster as far as getting into this. Of course, how many people in here watch ZDTV and Tech TV? Raise your hand. So a couple of you guys know about Leo Laporte. And so I started reading his blog a couple months after ZDTV or Tech TV went off the air, or they took screensavers off the air. And I was reading, and he says, I'm doing a podcast now. So I click on it, and boom, a whole new world opened up to me. So I started listening to him, and I heard him mention Father Roderick one day. I saw Father Roderick's Daily Breakfast. I started listening to him, and it's like, wow, here's a guy doing ministry in a way that reaches people where they are, talking about video games, television shows, just different things, meeting people where they're at. And so basically what I decided to do was I said, I'm going to try doing something, getting outside of the church walls, doing ministry inside the church, I found myself spending day after day doing meetings inside this church building. And I wanted to get out and reach people who weren't a part of the church. And not necessarily to convert them, but to just love them the same way that I know that my God did. So that's exactly what I wanted to do. And so I decided to do a podcast. And the first podcast I decided to do was called Generally Speaking, because I couldn't decide if I wanted to talk about faith, if I wanted to talk about technology, or if I wanted to talk about the show Lost. So I decided I'm going to do a show called Generally Speaking. Bad idea, by the way, because, and you'll learn that later. But anyway, I decided the first episode would be about Lost. My first episode, I got my wife down there, said, would you record a show with me? She said, sure, there's only going to be 2 or 3 people that listen. The first episode was downloaded by 350 people. The next week, iTunes started making the TV show Lost available for download in iTunes. Same day we showed up in iTunes. And so when people searched for Lost on iTunes Music Store, the podcast section showed us right at the top. And we, by the 3rd episode, had 14,000 subscribers. And they were begging us to stay on Lost. And so we did. And so it was about 10 or 15 episodes in, I finally said, you know what? I don't want to take this Lost audience and start preaching to them and do all that stuff. That's not why I got into this. But I do want to start sharing my faith and who I am and just a little bit more about me. So I started another show called My Crazy Life. Today I'm at episode number 175 of that. But anyway, My Crazy Life was a way for me to express myself and just talk about anything and everything. Now today, I will tell you that I've launched more podcasts. As of today, I'm currently producing 17 of my own podcasts, which you can go to gspn.tv to see any of them. I did not do that. All right, so the decision to go into podcasting as a hobby, that was that one, right? All right, so the decision to go into podcasting full-time in 4 minutes or less. All right, so basically, I told you that I was an insurance agent. Well, I want to tell you, I was an insurance agent in a family-run insurance agency. The business has been in the family since 1965. A little bit of a pressure to stay in that business. In 8 years from now, I would have been making about $300,000 to $500,000 a year. I just left it behind. Okay? Now, how much insurance did I sell? I was in the top 50 out of 14,000 insurance agents in the country. So, I mean, just to tell you what I felt about insurance, I loved it until podcasting came along. Until podcasting. I lost all passion for insurance. As soon as I got into podcasting, most people's marriages go down the drain. No, it was my career. All I could think about was podcasting. My family was still first. My kids were still first. But the insurance career, oh, no. It used to be 10 hours a day at the insurance office. No, it's 8 hours at the day if you're lucky. And half of that's probably spent interacting with the community of people that are in my podcast. And then when I get home, I spend the time with family. And then at night, I go down and record shows. It was crazy. So my wife and I started talking about it, and it came down to it. I said, this is something that's going to be a part of my future. I'm going to go ahead and tell my dad that eventually down the road, when he retires, I don't want to take over the agency. 5 years down the road from now, I want to go ahead and do this full time. I just can't see me doing anything else. And so I didn't actually tell him that, but he kind of got the hint after my sales went like that. So anyway, and so I said, okay, let's start doing this podcasting thing as a hobby, as a profession, only part-time. And I started that. And so I started doing podcast consulting for people. And people were starting to pay me money to talk about things I love to do. It's like, it's an amazing thing. And and then I started to do this this series in My Crazy Life called Pursuing Your Passion. Whether or not it's really possible to do what you love for a living. And I thought that was just crazy. I thought, who would pay somebody to do something they love? And the idea about work is that you get paid to do something you hate. That's why they pay you to do it. I mean, hello, that's what I thought. I was trained to do that by our culture. And so in January of 2007, I decided to do this part-time. I got so busy that literally it was taking up my life. You figure I was working 40, 50 hours a week at the insurance agency. I was trying to maintain family life and then doing this part-time business. It came to the point where I decided I need to either go into this full-time or I need to put this back on the shelf as a hobby. Well, being that I've already told you where my future was as far as financial, this financial situation. So obviously, I said in May of 2007, this is just a hobby. And I told all my podcasting consulting clients, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. I'm too busy. I'm just going to do podcasting as a hobby. I have never become so depressed, anxiety-ridden, and literally just, it was just horrible. My life was just awful. I went to work. I hated it. I despised it more and more every day. People would call me on the phone, and I love people. Remember that? I love people. And it's like, the phone would ring. It's like, what do you want? And it's like I used to love serving these clients. And it's like, why do you bother me? I'm typing an email to this guy in Zimbabwe, man. Leave me alone. And so I find myself despising my job. And so so after becoming so miserable, I started sharing that. Of course, if you listen to My Crazy Life, you know I'm an open book. And people listen to that, and everybody's emailing me. They say, Cliff, you are meant to be a podcaster. This is what you should be doing for a living. And so my listeners were telling me, my insurance clients were starting to tell me, because I'm sitting there talking about podcasting to my insurance clients. My underwriters, the people that work at the insurance companies, they're saying, Cliff, you should be a podcaster. You should do this for a living. You should do it. Pursue your passion. And my friends were telling me, my pastor said, Cliff, when I first met you, I looked at all the things you do and how you talk about podcasting, and he says, I'm sitting there asking myself, why is this guy selling insurance? Most importantly, though, my wife said, this is what you have to do. And so in September, at the end of September, she says, Cliff, just do it. Quit your job. I don't care what it takes. If we both have to go get jobs, working part-time, whatever it takes, make this happen. Let's do this for a living. And so I had to tell my parents, I figured family business, all this history, there's no way they're going to support this. And through the grace of God, I went in and talked to my dad the next day, and he says, that is an awesome thing. I can't tell you how excited I am to hear you stand up and say you're going to do what you love for a living, because you will be miserable in this career if you don't love it. And so I decided to pursue my passion. That wasn't in 4 minutes or less, was it? All right, so anyway, where am I? Since January, so I gave a 90-day notice. Since January 1st, I've been self-employed as a full-time podcast and new media professional. So here's the question. So how does one earn a living podcasting as a profession in 3 minutes or less? The answer, I'm still working on it, okay? Right now, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. If you ever read that little scripture reference in the Bible where God or Jesus asked Peter to walk out of the boat and come to him, I'm right there on the water right now. However, I will tell you, in December, I sunk deep, okay? December, I was flipping out. It's like, this is the worst decision I've ever made. My family's going to tank. I'm responsible for this. I literally thought I was going to have a heart attack. That's how bad my heart felt every single day. Christmas Eve, my pastor called me just to see how I was doing. I broke down in tears when he asked me the question. But since January 1st, my life has changed. I'm a free person. Can anybody tell that I'm excited, that I feel good about life right now? I love what I do for a living. I wake up every day and decide whether or not I'm going to put pants on. It's awesome stuff. And so, I mean, it's amazing. So the question is, how do you make a living doing it? Well, let me just tell you a couple things that have been approached so far that I'm seeing some initial success at. Donations are number one. I have more than 14,000 listeners to my largest podcast, and I have 17 other podcasts, each of them with about 1,000 or more listeners. My daughter, who is 8 years old, does a Hannah Montana fan podcast. She's only 2 weeks into it, over 4,000 subscribers. I'm paying my daughter, 8 years old, to podcast. Okay, so donations. People have been telling me, Cliff, you talking about pursuing your passion inspires me. Listen to you and your wife research Lost so you can get all those hidden clues that the producers snuck in there and those screen captures that you do, and you spend 3 hours researching it. So on the weekend you do a live show for us and tell us everything we missed. So we're the superhero at the water cooler. That's entertaining. People love what we're producing. And so as a result, they said, I want to give. And they have for the last 2 years. And so just recently, about 2.5 weeks ago, I set up the GSPN.TV monthly support team, where you can just freely give $5, $10, $15, $20, $25, or $30 a month by PayPal automatically every month. Within 2.5 weeks, 26 people have signed up. And so I looked at that to continue. My desire one day, my dream, is if 1,000 people would download $10 a month, I would be set. Okay, sponsorship, we're getting very successful. My wife has a podcast. She's being paid $250 a week to talk to her best friend for 30 minutes behind a microphone. Okay, and that just blows her away. And so sponsorships are out there. Webinars. I'm going to start teaching people how to do podcasting on the internet with using things like GoToMyMeeting and all those other things that are out there. You sign in, I show you. For $75, you get 3 hours of instruction with 10 other people. That's $750 for 3 hours of my time. That's how I'm making money. Podcast consulting. I charge $95 an hour unless you bring me in on a retainer, and then you can get a discount. So I'm doing a lot of podcast consulting. Go to CorvetteChief.com. That is the chief engineer of Corvette from 1975 to 1992, David McClellan, and he's talking about the history of Corvette, and I'm making money doing his episodes. Anyway, equipment sales. I have at least one person in the audience that has bought a Heil PR40, which you can find on the web at $325 is your lowest cost. I sell them for $299, and they come straight from the manufacturer, by the way. And I have any of your other audio equipment needs. Now, here's the thing. Okay, I have 2 minutes, right? No, I'm out of time. So, no, do I have 4 minutes? Okay. Here we go. We do want Q&A? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Q&A me anytime just by emailing me or get in touch with me. Because I want to run through what C.C. Chapman said in his episode number 50 of Managing the Gray. Here's what he says you need to do to break into new media. He said, you must discover your niche. Mind, entertainment, technology, and faith. Okay? Be passionate about your niche. Okay. You need a strong work ethic. Dude, January, I literally, this coming Sunday, tomorrow, will be the first day I've had off since this year. Okay? I've been working. Scott, how early, or what time do I go to bed every morning? About 4:30. All right. So anyway, strong work ethic. I definitely have that, and I have a strong family ethic, so I'm adjusting. Be involved. I email every single person that emails me. I play every call on my show. I create ways to interact with them online, do live shows, online forum, Twitter, Facebook. I even take the caller ID on people who have called me more than 3 or 4 times, and I literally call them back the next time just to say thank you for being such a participant in my community. Be curious. Have fun with new technology is what C.C. Chapman says. I am into every new technology that hits the block. I love it. I breathe it, eat it, drink it. Network. That's why I'm here. And then be involved. I did that, right? Okay, so working hard is important, but luck plays a vital role. I believe I'm here today, not just destiny, not just fate, but I believe God's called me to this place. And so I believe that has something to do with it. And you have to get paid. Don't undervalue yourself. That was the hardest thing for me to do, to actually tell somebody how much I need to collect from them when I used to just do that stuff for free. And then to me, I just want to say that podcasting is all about entertaining people, encouraging people, and inspiring others. And I love to build community. Thank you.